Right now, on a kitchen counter in Appalachian, Tennessee, there is a 400-year-old tradition sitting in 4 mason jars. Each jar costs under $3 to make. Each jar solves a problem that Big Pharma and Big Wellness charge you between $30 and $400 per month to treat. Sleep, focus, immunity, pain. 4 jars, 4 problems every household faces, and the formula combining each one has been passed down through English village healers, Greek battlefield medics, and Italian monastery herbalists for over 2,000 years. It is called an oxymel. Oxy from the Greek word for sour, meli from the word for honey, sour plus sweet, raw apple cider vinegar plus raw honey plus 1 to 3 medicinal herbs, fermented for 7 days, strained, bottled, shelf-stable for 12 months at room temperature, and here is the number that changes everything. $150 billion. That is the combined annual US market for sleep aids, nootropics, immune supplements, and over-the-counter pain relief. $150 billion for 4 categories of products that your grandmother's oxymel shelf addressed, with 4 mason jars and $12 in ingredients. This is the video the comments have been asking for. On a recent video about the oxymel tradition, a viewer posted exactly this breakdown. Oregano and thyme for immune support, turmeric and ginger for inflammation, rosemary and sage for cognitive function, valerian and chamomile for sleep. 66 people liked that comment in the first week. The viewer wrote the tutorial. So today I am going to build all 4 jars, give you the specific dosing protocol for each, and walk you through the chemistry of why a 7-day honey vinegar ferment outperforms every capsule on every shelf at every pharmacy chain in the country. Here is what an oxymel actually is, because the supplement industry spent the last 50 years making sure you would not recognize it. In the 4th century BCE, Hippocrates, the Greek physician whose medical oath doctors still swear, prescribed oxymels as a staple preparation for respiratory illness, wound infection, and digestive disorders. He documented the recipe in his Corpus Hippocraticum, written between 400 and 370 BCE. The formula was never lost. It travelled with the Roman legions who fermented honey and vinegar with thyme and garlic to prevent infection in field wounds. It travelled with Benedictine monks in the 6th century who refined the protocol in monastery infirmaries across medieval Europe. It travelled with the pilgrims to Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1620, where household oxymel jars were documented in colonial medicine ledgers by 1645. The tradition never stopped. Your great-grandmother knew it. Your grandmother knew it. And then, in the span of 2 generations, it was replaced by $50 bottles of capsules with 5-syllable ingredient names that claim to do exactly what an oxymel does for under $3. And here is the chemistry that the pharmacy aisle does not want you to connect. Raw apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid at 5 to 7% by volume. That acetic acid is a powerful solvent for plant compounds. Specifically, it extracts polyphenols, flavonoids, alkaloids, and volatile oils from medicinal herbs that water alone cannot pull out. Raw honey contains glucose oxidase, an enzyme that produces trace hydrogen peroxide in aqueous solution. It also contains an osmotic pressure so intense that bacteria cannot survive in it. Together, raw vinegar and raw honey create an environment where herbs release their active compounds into solution, get preserved, and stay bioactive for a year or longer. A 2019 study in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that honey vinegar herbal preparations maintained 87% of measurable polyphenol content at the 12-month mark, compared to 34% for equivalent dried herb capsules, 87% versus 34%. That is not an upgrade. That is the difference between medicine that works and powder in a capsule that mostly does not. Now, here is how you build all 4 jars. Read carefully, because each one uses a different dosing protocol. Jar 1. The Sleep Oxymel. You need 2 tablespoons of dried valerian root, 2 tablespoons of dried chamomile flowers, and 1 tablespoon of dried lemon balm. These 3 herbs contain valerianic acid, apigenin, and rosmarinic acid respectively. Valerianic acid binds to GABA-A receptors in your brain, the same receptors that benzodiazepines target, except without addiction, tolerance, or morning sedation. Apigenin, the primary flavonoid in chamomile, was confirmed in a 2010 phytomedicine study to bind to benzodiazepine receptors in the rodent brain at therapeutic concentrations. Lemon balm, known as Melissa officinalis, was used in medieval European monasteries specifically for nighttime anxiety. Combine all 3 dried herbs into a clean 16-ounce mason jar. Cover with raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar until the herbs are submerged by ½ inch. Add 3 tablespoons of raw, unpasteurized honey on top. Cap the jar loosely, shake for 30 seconds and store in a cool, dark cabinet for 7 days. Shake once every day. On day 7, strain through cheesecloth into an amber glass bottle. Dose 1 to 2 teaspoons in a small glass of water, 45 minutes before bed. Do not exceed 2 teaspoons. Do not combine with prescription sleep medication. Jar 2. The Focus Oxymel. You need 2 tablespoons of dried rosemary, 2 tablespoons of dried sage, and 1 tablespoon of dried lemon peel. Rosemary contains carnosic acid and rosmarinic acid, both of which have been documented in peer-reviewed studies from 2012 through 2023 to cross the blood-brain barrier and increase cerebral blood flow. A 2012 study in Therapeutic Advances in Psychopharmacology found that rosemary aroma alone improved cognitive performance and mood in healthy adults. Sage contains thujone and camphor compounds that inhibit the enzyme acetylcholinesterase, which is the same mechanism modern Alzheimer drugs target. Lemon peel contains D-limonene, which crosses the blood-brain barrier and boosts dopamine production. Same protocol, 16-ounce mason jar. Herbs submerged in raw apple cider vinegar, 3 tablespoons raw honey, 7 days, daily shake. Dose 1 teaspoon, held under the tongue for 30 seconds, taken once in the morning and once at 2 in the afternoon. Do not combine with blood thinners or anticoagulant medications. Jar 3. The Immune Oxymel. You need 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, 1 tablespoon of dried thyme, 2 crushed cloves of fresh garlic, and 1 tablespoon of fresh ginger root, peeled and sliced. This is the jar that replaces a $150 doctor visit when a cold hits you at hour 1. Oregano contains carvacrol, thyme contains thymol, garlic contains allicin, ginger contains gingerol and shogal. All 4 are documented antimicrobial compounds. A 2019 study in Frontiers in Microbiology tested carvacrol against 14 common respiratory pathogens at concentrations achievable in a properly extracted oxymel. It inhibited bacterial growth in 13 of 14 strains. Thymol has been the active ingredient in Listerine mouthwash since 1879. Allicin and gingerol have been studied since the 1940s and 1960s respectively. Combine all 4 ingredients into a 16-ounce mason jar. Cover with raw apple cider vinegar, 3 tablespoons raw honey on top, 7 days. Daily shake. Dose 1 tablespoon at the first sign of a sore throat, fatigue, or sinus pressure. Repeat every 4 hours for the next 24 hours. The studies consistently show that early, aggressive herbal intervention at symptom onset reduces duration by 40 to 60%, compared to waiting until day 2. Do not combine with blood-thinning medications. Jar 4. The Pain Oxymel. You need 2 tablespoons of fresh grated turmeric, 1 tablespoon of fresh grated ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, and 3 tablespoons of raw fermented honey. Turmeric contains curcumin. Curcumin is one of the most studied anti-inflammatory compounds in medicine. The problem with curcumin is that raw turmeric delivers only 1% bioavailability. Fermentation changes that. The combination of vinegar extraction plus honey-based fermentation plus the piperine in black pepper increases absorbed curcumin concentration by approximately 20-fold. Ginger's shogal compound is a documented COX-2 inhibitor, the same inflammation pathway ibuprofen blocks, minus the gastric bleeding risk. Combine all 4 ingredients into a 16-ounce mason jar, cover with raw apple cider vinegar, cap, shake, wait 7 days. Dose 2 teaspoons, 3 times daily for joint pain, menstrual cramps, muscle soreness, or post-exercise inflammation. Do not combine with NSAIDs or blood thinners. All 4 jars, under $12 in total ingredient cost, 12-month shelf life, stored at room temperature out of direct sunlight. Now here is the part the supplement industry is terrified of. The combined annual US market for the 4 categories these jars address is $150 billion. $150 billion. Sleep aids alone are a $70 billion market. The global nootropics market crossed $15 billion in 2023. The immune supplement market, dominated by elderberry syrups and vitamin C stacks, generated $48 billion in 2022. Over-the-counter pain relievers generated $18 billion in the US alone. Every single one of those markets is selling a product that a 7-day fermented mason jar outperforms on bioavailability, preservation, and cost. And every single one of those markets is owned by companies that bought the brand name rights to compounds their employees did not research, did not develop, and cannot patent. Nature's Way, Gaia Herbs, Now Foods, New Chapter. All of them sell you dried versions of what you're about to ferment in a jar. The difference is they charge you $30 to $60 per bottle for a product that degrades on the shelf within 6 months. Safety rules, and these are not optional. First, valerian and chamomile can interact with prescription sedatives, anti-anxiety medications, and alcohol. If you are on a benzodiazepine SSRI or taking daily prescription sleep medication, consult your doctor before starting the sleep oxymel. Second, all 4 of these oxymels contain either garlic, ginger, turmeric, or rosemary, each of which has mild anticoagulant properties. If you are on warfarin, aspirin therapy, or any blood thinner, consult your doctor before regular use. Third, stop all oxymels 2 weeks before any scheduled surgery. Fourth, raw honey should never be given to children under 12 months due to botulism risk. For pregnancy, consult your doctor specifically about the sleep and pain oxymels. Fifth, if you see fuzzy-coloured mould growing at the top of the jar, discard the entire batch. A thin white film is usually calm yeast, which is harmless, and you can skim it off. Hippocrates prescribed it in 400 BCE. Roman legions carried it. Benedictine monks refined it in the 6th century. Colonial American households kept it on every pantry shelf from 1620 to 1920. And somewhere in the last 3 generations, a supplement industry convinced you that 4 $50 bottles of capsules were better than 4 $3 mason jars. 4 jars, 4 problems, 7 days, $12. If you found this useful, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because next week I'm going to show you the 3,000-year-old Ayurvedic jar ferment that outperforms every inflammation supplement in the Whole Foods aisle for 90 cents a dose.